Okay, if you've seen my video, the overview of The Nightmare Before Christmas, and you can find a link in the description, then you'll already know I'm a pretty big fan of this movie. But today I'd like to go over one particular song in this movie, specifically the famous What's This song Jack sings after he's been transported to Christmas Town and happily tries to get his head around everything he's seeing. Because I feel that this song has a much deeper meaning to it and is a lot more applicable to real life than most would suspect at first glance when you really stop and look at it. But first, I would just like to once again note that there will be spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen this movie, please don't proceed with this video. Alright, so to start off simply, I would just like to note that I am by no means a musical expert. I don't know how to write songs, I don't know how music is composed, and I certainly don't know how to dismantle the stories told solely through music without a lot of help. This is just my personal, average guy take on this song. So if you're looking for something of a more professional caliber, then this probably isn't the video for you. But that being said, I believe what makes this song really great is simply the whole premise behind it. The leader and perhaps spirit of Halloween is depressed and looking for a change, and suddenly he finds himself in a winter wonderland of wholesomeness. And how does he react to all of this? With complete euphoria. It's everything he ever could have dreamed of and more. And he becomes so obsessed with everything Christmas that it takes him literally being blown out of the sky to realize that maybe he took things a little too far. And in that lies the true brilliance of this song, and even what makes it a little depressing when you think about it. Because Jack instantly falls in love with Christmas. He loves everything he's seeing and wishes to experience it for himself. But as his later attempts to try and understand Christmas through science prove, no matter how much he enjoys Christmas and wants to understand it, he never truly can. He'll always be somebody that was created for Halloween first and foremost. And considering that Christmas is in many ways the exact opposite of that holiday, his attempts to live it for himself are essentially doomed from the start. Sure, maybe he can grasp that special kind of feeling in Christmas, but he can never actually live it for himself, nor can he ever completely understand what that feeling even is or why it makes him feel that way. But on an even deeper level, that song can symbolize something that pretty much anybody can relate to, which is briefly appreciating something that most others take for granted. Think about it. Anybody has the opportunity to experience Christmas. For all of December and sometimes even November, everybody is saturated with nothing but the holiday season and all the feelings associated with it. In fact, most would say that they often get oversaturated with it and from time to time get sick of the whole thing. But that point is, as those hundreds of TV specials we all saw as a kid teach us, in the end, Christmas is about a feeling inside all of us, and everything else, the presents, decorations, and songs, are meant to heighten that feeling. At least, theoretically it is, anyway. But cynicism aside, what I'm trying to say here is that nobody in the real world is physically incapable of fully immersing themselves in Christmas if they want to. Maybe sometimes circumstances make it hard to embrace the holiday, yes, but everybody has the natural ability to feel it in the first place. And yet, way too often, due to a combination of stress, oversaturation, and cynicism, most people will opt to feel some kind of resentment towards it before the holiday season is over. While by contrast, through that song, Jack is bearing witness and thoroughly loving something he can never truly experience himself. And that is something that I feel most of us are apt to relate to at some point in our lives. To watch other people love and experience something so mundane to them that they take it for granted, while an outsider watches on, wanting with every fiber of their being to be a part of it as well, but not being able to. No matter what it may be, and for whatever the reason, they aren't able to experience something that comes so naturally to others, no matter how much they want to. In other words, Jack watches on as everyone, both in Christmastown and the real world, happily experience Christmas without a second thought, and not unreasonably taking the whole experience as basically a given, while he, by contrast, does absolutely everything in his power to try and understand, as well as experience, that feeling, up to and including kidnapping Santa Claus and taking his place, just so he can feel and take part in what everybody else views as only natural. Tell me you haven't had an experience like that at some point. To try so hard to feel, experience, or just be a part of something that so many others get without doing anything or having to make any effort to do so. Now, sure, the movie does provide an optimistic outcome to this, where Jack finally comes to terms with the fact that he never will truly understand Christmas, and that he doesn't need to because nobody can make a more horrifying, and thus perfect, Halloween than he can. And then after accepting this and righting his mistakes, he finally, at least in his own Halloween way, actually does get a small taste of what getting to experience Christmas is like, allowing him to essentially accomplish both his goals at the same time. To not find Halloween boring and repetitive anymore, and to have his own version of Christmas. Sure, it may just be a snowfall, but for him and everybody else, it's clearly more than enough. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, the song What's This can be very relatable to people who feel that others take for granted what they so desperately want for themselves but can't have. But what's important to remember is that the resolution to this problem reminds us that perhaps what we truly want, and where our purpose truly lies, is right in front of us, and that we will get to experience what we want if we keep at it, even if in only our own way. And there's also that Jack never once expresses envy towards the people who can experience Christmas so easily, or Santa Claus himself. Throughout the movie, he's constantly happy for them and simply wants to experience the holiday alongside them, never in their place. And even as far as Santa is concerned, sure, he wants to take his place, but he still never envies his job. He just wants the chance to try it for himself. Once again, to put it simply, maybe the whole thing can paint a somewhat depressing picture, but at least it provides a compromise, and a pretty optimistic one, to that problem. And in the end, that's exactly what a Christmas movie should do. So all around, it's really perfect. Okay, I think that's everything I had to say. And sorry if this video came across as a little different than usual, but I just had a hard time trying to think of a way to really get my point across concerning what I wanted to say about this song. But speaking of which, now I'd like all of you to tell me, Do you believe the song What's This holds some valuable life lessons when you stop and examine it? Or do you believe I'm way overanalyzing the whole thing? Please feel free to tell me what you think in the comments. And as always, you don't have to agree with me on this video. You can think that everything I said was the furthest thing from accurate if you want to. And thank you all for watching. It is very greatly appreciated. And I hope to see you all next time.